there's three people in the.
Yeah, well, there's me. There's you.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, let's see who it is. Are we live yet? I think we are.
We are, yes.
We are live. Funny enough, this. Let's see who it is. There we go. Stupid program. Hello, everyone. This is once again a very messy opening for Modwain's House of... Oh, no, wait a second. We're not Modwain's House of Fun anymore. Today, we're going to wonder about what the left is. And we're going to do so by the great words of Jon The Bemuse. He made a great 2 videos on left. And I mean, the links are downstairs. I do advise people, go check them out, whether you like them or not. And it's really well made. Now, there aren't a lot of people here tonight. It's just me and Jon at the moment, which is...
And Mark.
Well, and Mark in the chat. Hi there, Mark in the chat. I did invite Jusm, but Just didn't respond. I've asked a lot of people whether they wanted to come, but most people seem to be busy. Considering...
Oh, and Warped. Hi, Warped.
Now, Warped. Oh, that's nice. And hi there, Ludicrous. All of a sudden, there are lots of people. That's good for my ego.
It's a Celtic takeover. 2 Scots and 2 Irish people.
Oh, by the way, I am curious if any of you saw my guest appearance on the Direwolf channel and what you think of it. I am curious if not, then yeah, not. I was the first. Give me a medal. First in what?
Well, viewer, I think.
No, that's not true because Mark said hi before Warp said.
Oh, don't start a fight.
No,
We've only got 2 audience members. Well, three audience members. So don't upset them.
Well, I mean, if someone wants to join in a moment, that. Sorry, that didn't... See, that's the thing. I mean, if you just jump in and someone else has said already hi and you hadn't had the page open yet, then you don't see that hi. That's why, Warped, you see your messages, the first one, but you don't see the messages before yours. See? Makes sense, that. Today we're going to talk a little bit on what is the left. And we're going to do so based on the essays of Jon The Bemuse himself. He made 2 great videos on the topic. Links are downstairs. They actually are. I'm sure of it. I put them there. So if you want to see them, go check them out. Don't do it now because now we're in the middle of a live stream. So do that later. And I was hoping to have a few people.
Sorry, I'm just reading your English.
What?
You put "are his views" as opposed to "views" on the topic.
Yeah, that's not English. That's a typo, for fuck's sake. Yeah, that's stupid, though. I will fix that, I guess. Yeah, that's silly.
I'm afraid to anyone who hasn't seen those videos yet, they're not views because they're 30 and 20 minutes long, respectively. Anything but a few.
They're essays, more or less.
No, I'm saying that, but they're not few. They're not short.
No, they are few because there's only 2 of them. Right? I'm sure I'm right on that one.
And I know, but there's a lot spouted in them themselves.
That, and they're very worth watching. Fair is fair. Just don't do it now because if you would do it now, you would miss the hangout. And the hangouts are so much more fun when you're listening in on something or other.
Yeah, please don't go, please.
Please. Oh, no, don't leave me alone with Jon. No. No, that's rubbish. It's too bad no one else will come, though, because I had hoped more people would have come. Jon watched them on double speed. Takes a lot of time.
And my voice probably sounds better at double speed.
Okay, well, Carlos won't come tonight. Yes. Okay, let me see. So maybe Real Raven will join us. That's fun.
He's been quiet a little bit.
Yeah, I have the microphone hanging a little bit high. It should be better now. Is it better now? Hi there, Toxic, by the way. Well, we're together, John and I.
I'm not showing on the screen at the minute.
Why not?
I don't know.
Oh.
But there's just your...
But I can still hear you. How come I can still hear you? Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe this should be better. Can you say something now?
I can say something. It's still not reacting.
Yeah, the stupid Hangout bullshit. Anyway, guys, can you still hear John? Because
I am speaking now. I must be heard.
There he is. Yeah, okay, that's just probably me. Foreign Carlos let us down. Speaking Carlos, where the hell is Carlos David? I don't know. I haven't seen him for a while. Oh, Toxic, what did you think of my performance on the Direwolf podcast thingy? Because you are one of the two people that actually saw me there. I know I saw you. So yeah, I'm curious because I really enjoyed myself there. So I'm curious if it was worth it or not. When John is talking, his icon pops up. Yeah, but can you hear him?
Yeah. Walk says she could hear.
Yeah. I know. I did send. So
you did really well.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Yeah, no, I did really well. Thank you, Toxic. I really enjoyed myself as well, and I sent the wrong link to Real Raven. So now Real Raven can't join us because I was being stupid. I won't admit to that though. So don't try to. So
you went quiet.
Yeah, I'm really good at not being good. You know what I mean?
Hey, it's what you say, not how you say it.
True that.
Remember John Peel.
And yes, and currently I'm a little bit messy because I'm trying to also get people to join me still because, well, join us by now. You felt bad because of the time. It was a terrible time for me, to be honest. It was. I think we ended at around 5 or 6 a.m.
Oh, crikey. So it was an evening stream American time, was it?
It was an evening stream American time, which was well past midnight here. So
yeah, I mean,
but I had a good time.
Yeah.
So and yeah, but yeah, I did really well. That's good. That's good. Not much to say anyway. It was a fun experience. Toxic, if I were to say that I would join their stream more often, would that be enticing for you to watch them, or is that like, yeah, okay, have fun, mate, but whatever? It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
At least you've kept your head.
Are we going to go cliche all evening, Toxic? I'm sorry.
Be right back. Probably having a fag break. Sorry, American. Smoke break.
Smoke break, yeah. Anyway, I'm still waiting for Real Raven to join us because he said he might. And there are a bunch of other people I invited or asked if they wanted to come, but no one.
I'm just trying to think of the people in the chat. Possibly only Warped hasn't watched my videos yet.
Well, Warped, you want to join in? Or Ludicrous? And
I did invite him earlier, actually. He's still reticent.
But that's what you get when you just, a little...
Well, it must be precarious being one of a very few mythical creatures.
Do that. Anyway, are we going to get started on the left versus... No, not left versus right. What is the left? Because this is a very interesting question. And where I do really... Hey, and there is...
Matey. Oh, hello, Joe. Hello, Joe.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
You're late.
I'm late?
Yeah, you're the late Joe.
No, well, that's something else. You're not the late Juz.
You spotted my linguistic ploy.
Hey, I just saw the notice that said, we're going to start in 40 minutes. I'm like, maybe there's somebody there. Let me go.
And there is Real Raven. All the tardy people are here now.
Nice. Long time no see, Real.
That's okay, Real. I'm not sure if you're talking to us, but we can't hear you.
But we can see you.
We can see you. You've got a face and all that.
I hope he has a face.
Well, not everyone has a good face to look at. Yeah, we can see you waving and flailing, and we can't hear you. Did I accidentally silence you? I don't think I did.
He's probably got all those audio things he has set up all muddled up.
It's not on my end. Sorry, Real Raven. You have to fix that yourself, mate.
Yeah, because I can hear the rest of you just fine.
I know. We play a new game. He says something. We don't hear him. We make up what he's saying.
Okay, well, then we have to. Well, I'm going to. Okay, go on, Real Raven. What do you want to say, mate? I say he's saying, "What the fuck is going on here?" Am I right, Real Raven? Did you say what the fuck is going on here? Yes, I was right.
Oh, and now he's full screen.
Yeah,
it's the Real Raven show. Yay!
Okay, anyone else want to guess what he said there? Because
I think he said he looks silly, but he's trying to make it work.
Hey, he's having fun. He's smiling.
And he's chewing gum, I guess. Yes, beer.
It could be a nice wine. I know he drinks wine.
Well, none of us can hear him warped.
It's a whiskey. He's on whiskey tonight.
It's a whiskey. Oh, yes. Right. It's a tumbler.
No, it's a whiskey.
Yeah, those glasses. Those glasses are called tumblers, aren't they?
It's still a glass. A tumbler is a type of glass.
It's still a tumbler.
It's still a glass.
That's the name type of the glass.
Real Raven is going.
Well, I thought I heard something there.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
Oh, please don't.
But that was didn't you see him clapping his hand and all that?
Yeah, but he hasn't got little tambourine thingies. Cymbals.
Tambourine. All right. Look at that.
Yeah, there you go, mate. There you go.
Oh man. So how have everybody's been, man?
Oh, he's got his cymbals. Yay! That's a musician for you.
Everything's been all right here. I had a guest appearance on someone else's show, so that was fun. And today we're going to talk about what is the left, based on Jon's video on the topic, because Jon did make some good points in there. Though, did you win? I bet he said, "Wo sind meine Bierflaschen?" Yeah, well, it's not beer, it's whiskey, because indeed, what Warp said, whiskey. So no, you didn't win, Ludicrous, because it's not his beer, it's whiskey.
Yeah, it's Scotch, the good stuff.
And it could be, well, if it was what was on the glass, it's Irish, not Scotch.
For fuck's sake. Jon, really?
What?
It's not Scotch, it's Irish.
Yeah. Scotch is from Scotland. If it's from anywhere else, it's not Scotch.
Yeah, but it's also not Irish.
It is if it's Irish whiskey.
Well, fair enough. We still call it Scotch, though, don't we?
No.
Well, I don't care because I don't like whiskey anyway.
They can't even spell whiskey right if they're in Ireland.
Oh my goodness, really?
Well,
if I go to Ireland and ask for Scotch, they're going to give me whiskey?
Hey, I can hear you again. Real Raven, is that you making your noises? No, probably not. Still no sound from Real Raven. Too bad. So, as I said a few times already, today we're going to talk about the left.
Or what it means to be left.
And indeed. So, what do you say, John? Want to take it away?
Well, basically, I got really fed up with everyone going the left. And that's the same with the right, but one thing at a time. And the problem is that if you say the left, what does that mean? Because the left isn't a singular, and most particularly, it's not a singular over the last 200 years. And a lot of people use the left as a synonym for Marxism and socialism. And I went on to argue that neither of those is actually left-wing, even though they are thought of as being of the left. And I explain why they're not left-wing, because they are authoritarian. And the tradition that actually started being left-wing was a fight for equality, and authoritarians are inherently anti-equality and so cannot be left-wing.
Oh, according to Real Raven, he may have it sorted. Okay, Real Raven, give it a try, mate.
Test, test. Can you hear me?
No,
Yes.
No, yes.
Hello, good evening, young man.
That's
Hi, John.
I'm sorry, that's my go-to response when anyone says
It's always no.
no,
No,
I
it's
can't.
good. It's a good default.
No,
So
not no, I can't, because then they know that. Sorry, I have to tell this story. I used to be a guild leader in a World of Warcraft guild, and I had great times. And when we were raiding, we used TeamSpeak or Ventrilo so that we could talk to people. And there was always one guy, and always had sound setting problems. And always he asked, "Oh, guys, can you hear me? Can you hear me?" And then I always answered, "No, I can't." Oh, damn it, I must have done something wrong. I need to do this. I need to do that.
Because he was stupid.
Constantly. Can you hear me now? No, we can't hear you. And it's all like almost a few minutes every single time. Like, oh, okay, you can hear me. So yeah, whenever someone asks me, "Can you hear me?" my answer is no.
It's like the number of stage shows where you see somebody say, "Can you hear me at the back?" And it's like, if they can hear you, they can answer. But if they don't answer, it's because they can't hear you.
yeah, that makes sense.
If you got an answer, they can hear you.
Yes.
Anyway, so welcome, John. Welcome joining us, Real Raven.
Thanks.
We're talking about the difference between the left and the authoritarian left. I guess that's
the authoritarian up.
Yeah, but it's up from somewhere, I guess.
No, not necessarily, because this is. You know all the arguments, because I say this, all the arguments about the Nazis and how they're called the far right, and they're not. They were socialists. The fascists were socialists.
Yeah. That's your lovely argument about the Nazis being really left-wing, isn't it?
Well, it's not them being left-wing. It's not them being left-wing. The point is, if you actually look at Stalin, who was a socialist nationalist, and the Nazis, who were national socialists, they weren't very different in what they did, how they acted. Subtle differences in emphasis, but they still killed billions of people or millions of people. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
you can look at differences and similarities across many different criteria, and they always seem more similar than different to me.
Yeah. Well, I agree.
I think they're all maybe one of the things that kind of binds them together is this proclivity for social engineering, right?
Yeah.
Like the big corporations now try to kind of generate societies.
Yeah, it's authoritarianism. That's the common factor.
But
and
I think
therefore,
the authoritarianism is just a means.
No. I think it's the underlying. I think it's the underlying thing, actually. my view is this.
It's a mechanism, but I don't think it's the goal.
No. It's actually an evolutionary impulse. Authoritarianism is an evolutionary impulse, and what I think it is authoritarians will gravitate to the political ideology that enables them to be authoritarian.
So
okay, I think you got it backwards. I think that you're describing a tool. Authoritarianism.
No, authoritarian isn't a tool. It's a fundamental human instinct.
I don't think so.
I think so.
But I need to get more beer, and then I'll be more lucid.
Okay. Well, I think you make a very good point on that one, because it isn't about left or right. It's about control. Whereas the original left isn't about, well, the concept of left isn't about control. Whereas the concept of right also isn't about control.
No, exactly. Well, I mean, the problem is this. When the left started, the societies, especially in Europe, were fundamentally unequal. You had laws that stratify society. And so the left
I'm back.
was a drive for equality.
But if we look at, for example, the beginning of America, where at the beginning they wanted to have like the socialist, well, not socialist concept, but the idea of we share everything, and then they failed at that. So they.
Oh, you mean but that was the Christian ideology.
True that.
Which, as people have pointed out, can tend towards being socialistic.
It's very much so, because if you look at the Bible, it's very much based on socialism. And it's okay if you have a God.
It's social anyway.
No, it's not.
Is it not?
No, but that's the main problem I have when people talk about social and socialism. There's a huge difference between social and socialism.
Yeah.
Social means I help you in your time of need, but I expect you to get back on your feet and help me and the rest of us when we need it.
Yeah.
Socialism is they need help, and I'm going to force you to help them.
That sounds fun.
And is that what?
Let me go help someone I don't want to, but you're going to make me do it anyways. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's socialism for you.
And that's because it's authoritarian. It's like, we know what's best for you.
Yeah.
But part of the left started out from the opposite, the anarchist tradition, which said every individual knows best what's best for themselves.
I don't know about the authoritarian. I think that it's such a loaded term, and I think it's it's a really wide nest you're casting, and you could say that every culture in a way is authoritarian. You know, any culture, let's say Christian culture or societal norms are authoritarian because they know best what's good for the individual, because the societal norm overrides the individual.
And that's the point. That is the point, real.
This is the important thing. Not every culture is authoritarian. But if you say something like, this religion is authoritarian or that religion is authoritarian, I'm going to say, well, yes, because they are. Now, we might not think them negative authoritarian, but that's a perception. But Christianity absolutely is authoritarian.
Yeah.
The fact that you need to live by their set of rules based on their religion makes them authoritarian.
It's true, but they have some tenets in the Christian faith that say that you have to accept it for yourself as well, in order to live it. You know, so you still make the decision.
That doesn't make a difference. For example, I'm not in favor of abortion. Let me say this clear. I'm not against it, but I'm not in favor of it, and I definitely don't like to see abortion being used as a birth control measure. But there are cases where abortion is understandable and even acceptable.
Yeah.
But according to Christianity, it's never acceptable. Now, it's not a rule I completely disagree with within Christianity.
What do you mean according to Christianity? Because I'm not 100% convinced about that.
Well, I mean, in the New Testament, you don't have abortion. It did happen once.
Of course you don't, because it wasn't a thing.
No, because you do have abortion in the Old Testament.
Yeah, but Christianity isn't like as a living religion, it's not that beholden to the scriptures, at least the flavors that I know. Like I used to be a Protestant. Now I'm like an atheist pagan, you know. But
yeah, but that says more about you than over the religion.
But as I can say, like from the Protestant point of view, they didn't really give very much credence to the Old Testament, you know. So.
No, but again, that says something
about
the
scripture, you know. It's maybe Orthodox Christianity. That's what you, or like deep Catholicism.
No, because every religion, because I can use Christianity, I can use Islam, I can use Judaism, I can use Hinduism in certain ways. Every religion has something authoritarian in it.
Yeah.
Because I have a rule, and you have to abide by my rules. If you're a good person. Even if you're not a Christian, but you live in my country, you have to abide by my rules.
Well, I mean, in much of Christendom, until the last few hundred years, it was a death sentence to not be a Christian.
Okay, but doesn't every society, even a Western democracy, have certain rules that you have to abide by? You know.
But there's a difference in a positive and a negative
rule. Pay your
rule.
taxes. Pay your taxes.
There's a difference in a positive and a negative rule. Okay, so a positive rule says you must do this.
Mm-hmm.
A negative rule says don't do this. So, for instance, don't kill people, don't assault people, don't steal from people. They're all negative rules. So, doing nothing, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas authoritarians are like, no, we're not going to leave you in peace to live your life quietly. We're going to make you do stuff, make you think this, make you behave. And yes, religions are authoritarian on that regard.
Well, look, I mean, you know, positive rules. I can give you like probably half a dozen. Like, let's just take any Western European nation. Okay, most of the nations have a rule where you have to bring your car to a test. You have to, if you have a car, once every year or every 2 years. You have to pay road tax. You have to pay taxes for your income.
But you don't have to drive.
No, you don't have to drive. But once you drive, once you have a car.
Yes, but you don't have to drive. Having a condition.
You don't have to drive. Yeah.
No, but having a condition that says if you're going to use the public roads, you must make sure your car is roadworthy, and you pay towards the taxation towards the maintenance of the roads. Those two things are perfectly reasonable, and you don't have to do it.
That's what you say. You say that's perfectly reasonable.
I do say it's perfectly reasonable. How else do you pay for the roads? And driving a non-roadworthy car is dangerous to others.
Yeah.
So yes.
And then you also have to pay. If you have a house or a flat, you have to pay like a fee for it, a yearly fee. Like a house tax, you know.
What you mean, like a council tax?
Well, you know, property tax. You have to pay that. At least that's what I know from Germany, and also.
Well, here we pay council tax, which is a tax towards the services by the council.
No, yeah, it's property tax, but you have to pay that even if you're in the country and you're not connected to the water network or any of the networks, and you pay your own. Like I'm not connected to the public telephone here because it's too shitty. So I have a private provider for broadband via.
Yeah.
So that doesn't involve the state. I do not have water, so I had to dig a well. So. Arguably, my road is a private road. It's not done up. It's full of potholes, so I have to do it up myself. So I still have to pay tax for my property.
Yeah, because you cannot individuate what you're an exception, and you cannot individuate.
Ah, okay. So I'm an exception, but you know, whoever owns property has to basically pay something like a fee that almost feels a little bit like a rent, you know,
because the local area costs money to run, and they have to raise money somehow, and that's how they choose to do it. Now, whether you agree that's a good way of doing it, that's a debate that's been going on my lifetime.
Yeah, and then if I die and my children inherit my property, they'll have to pay a tax as well. to an extent. I mean, okay, if they live in it, then it's kind of alleviated. But any other property, again, the state takes a stake into my property, you know. So there is certain things that I don't know if you could, you know, where does it start to be authoritarian, and where is it just a rule that kind of, okay, we make a rule that
but you're talking about citizenship requirements.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and I am not talking about citizenship requirements. I'm talking about.
It's just a different label. That's semantics.
No, it's not. There's a qualitative difference between the collective payment towards the running of society, right, which is a practical issue.
Okay.
Which all the things, taxes and all those things are practical.
I got one more. I got one.
Let him finish.
I got one really important one more, and I don't know. It's definitely in Germany. It's called Schulpflicht. You have to bring your kids to a public school from the age of 5 or 6.
Yeah, well, that's not typical German. That's nearly everywhere in Europe, and that's something that happens.
Yes, and you must educate your children in a public system. So there's probably work on.
That is, I agree. Yes.
So that's
quite old.
Authoritarian.
Well, again, in the Western world, you don't have any authoritarianism.
But then, I mean, what you do if you don't want your kids, let's say you think it's harmful because you know there's certain like doctrines that's being taught in public school, and you don't want your kids to go in there. So what you do? You
fight the system. Even in Germany, you are allowed
private school.
You punish them with private school.
You can go private school, and even in Germany, there are ways.
That's it.
And even in Germany, there are ways to allow your child to be homeschooled. It's not easy, but it is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, this is what I'm saying about authoritarianism being an innate human characteristic. Mm-hmm. There is a tendency to authoritarianism over time. However, which is why there was that expression. I cannot remember who said it. That the price of liberty is eternal vigilance, because people will always suggest some little harmless measure that just makes things safer, and everyone erodes your freedoms further and further. And
you mean the old saying like freedom for privacy?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
but you have to give up your privacy, and you know.
Yeah.
So, see, what I want to get you, John, is that I think that authoritarianism isn't what people. It's not what people imagine as the goal because they like authoritarianism.
No, I don't think they like authoritarianism.
There's something that motivates towards that, and authoritarianism is simply a system or a tool.
No. You see, you're thinking of it as an idea. I'm thinking of it as a human trait, and it's a human trait to be authoritarian, and therefore the people who's it's like everything else. Authoritarianism and individualism are two manifestations of the inevitable conflict between the individual and society. And so, because we're individuals in a social species, and therefore, at one end you get extreme individuals who are very unsocial. And at the other end, you get very social people who tend to be authoritarian because that works better for them. And it's not a criticism, it's just an explanation that there are people who think life would be better if those awkward people could just fit in and behave and do what we say they need to do. And therefore, people of that inclination will tend towards ideologies which push that.
But can you describe it on a lower level? What is it? I mean, okay, it's not the authoritarianism that's the attractive thing. It's living in a system that's controlled. right?
Yeah, but that's authoritarianism.
No, that's again, that's not the goal. It's not authoritarianism.
Authoritarianism isn't a goal.
It's not the goal. The goal is, let's find out what the goal is. What's the goal? What's the advantage of?
No, I didn't say it was a goal. I said
no. So what's behind it? What's behind it? What do people want? They want to live in a predictable, controlled environment. So that's really the goal, and they think that authoritarianism is the
No. They're not thinking about authoritarianism.
Maybe
we don't even recognise that they are authoritarian.
Yeah, but it's not the motivation. Is not. Oh, we need like very strict rules.
I'm going to interrupt you again, Real Raven, because you do make a very nice yet simple misunderstanding of reality. How are you to assume what their motivation is? I'm not talking about what their motivation is.
I think you're not getting anywhere if you're not talking about.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not talking about what motivation people are having. I'm talking about what I see them do. What you're talking about is what their motivation may be.
Yeah.
But their motivation is irrelevant, because this is what was it? Lewis said. I'd rather be controlled by robber barons than moral do-gooders. Because moral do-gooders will not ever stop. They have their conscience to say, you're doing it for the betterment of the world. So I'm not interested in their intentions. I'm interested in what they're doing.
But you're not going to change. See, you're not going to change anything if you're not looking at intention. If you're not looking at motives, you're not going to change it.
You're looking at it backwards, because
you're looking at it.
Let me give you a thought experiment, and please let me finish this thought experiment before you answer. Yeah.
Yes.
There is this great society. Everyone can work if they want to. Everyone can eat if they want to. Everyone can go to the doctor if they want to. Who is going to be the doctor? Because the doctor is the one person that cannot go to the doctor. Who's going to be the doctor? Is it going to be the one with the best education? Or is it going to be someone else that we, as a society, decide to be the doctor?
Well, it can't be the one that decides, because that'd be stupid.
Well, it won't be the one that decides, because, listen, he's going to make himself, well, in all fairness, relevant.
I think whoever's going to be paid to pass it on. You can't pick a blank slate and it's like, yeah, you're going to be this.
I think that if you do any kind of work, whether it's being a doctor or like writing stupid like JavaScript code for a website or cutting hair or whatever, you want to get something back for it. Like, so whoever's going to be paid for it.
Okay. Whoever's going to be paid for it. Okay, fair enough. So you say it's going to be their own decision.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, based on moolah, money.
Whatever the motivation for that decision is, it's going to be their own decision. I'm not even going to say, because in socialism we take away private property. I'm not even going to go there. Merely going to say it's their own decision. Now, what if no one decides to do it?
Good question.
But this is the one question that it's all about.
Yeah, sure. If nobody... I mean, obviously, we do have doctors and we have an education system that helps people attain that goal, So
I'm not asking what we have.
Yeah. I wonder... excuse me. How we got there, that people do this service,
I can answer that one in a moment, but again, this is not what I asked. That's why it's a thought experiment and not a reflection of reality.
So what's the question again? Sorry.
So we have a small group of people, and one of the people in this group needs to be a doctor. No one wants to be the doctor. What do we do?
Nothing much. I mean, if nobody wants to be the doctor, people will have to try and heal themselves. That's all, or look outside of the group. You know, if nobody wants to be the doctor, you can't force somebody.
Okay.
You can't say, "Oh, you're the healer now." You know, you can't.
You say
it doesn't quite work that way.
I think you can.
I have to disagree with Real Raven. If there's a small group and they need a doctor, nobody wants to be a doctor.
Guys, seriously,
you don't have to vote a doctor.
I'm not saying someone has to be. That's why it's a thought experiment. So the answer is no one has to be the doctor, right?
Yeah.
That's the current answer we go for.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then there's no doctor.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Will a society without a doctor survive?
I'd say yes. I'd say yes. A society without a doctor will survive.
To a certain extent, I imagine.
Okay, for a period of time, the society will survive, and then they realize we really need a doctor, but no one will do it.
Yeah.
And then the society will end. Yeah, this is
no, it won't end. It's just the people who are healthy will survive, and the sick ones will die. So that's
but the downside with a lot of sicknesses is
not
that
everybody's going to get like terminally ill.
Well, maybe you don't know that.
Sorry, you're way off topic, by the way.
We had the black.
No,
doesn't matter. We had the black. We had
back.
the pest, right? The black death, and that wiped out huge groups of. That wasn't healable, you know. There was no doctor that could heal people from the Black Death, you know.
True that, but let me go back to my example. So we have a society, no doctor. Yeah. That's liberalism. People they can decide what they want. Now, if a society wants to survive, you need certain classes, you need certain professions, you need doctors, you need food producers. Mostly food. I think food producers is the one that you really need. Mm-hmm. Protectors maybe, healers maybe, but you need food producers. What happens to a society if they have no food producers?
I'd probably have to import that from another society.
There is no one.
No, I mean, that's how it works. It's a market thing, isn't it?
No. Listen, when you go back to it's a market thing, you're going to go towards liberalism. There is no authoritarianism. Everything is free. The more protections you put in it, it's a balanced thing. But I'm going to say there is no market. There's one society. That's what you got.
That's terrible. If there's one society and that's what you got, that's...
Real Raven, it's a thought experiment, mate. It's not a reflection of reality.
Okay, so you got one society, everybody's the same, and nobody wants to produce.
I'm not saying everyone. Everyone is the same. No one wants to be a farmer. No one wants to produce food. So how are we going to solve that problem?
Someone's going to step up.
I mean, I have land. You know, if I'm starving, I go to my polytunnel and I plant some.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll feed myself.
You will start creating food. Okay, will you create enough for everyone, or will you just create enough for yourself?
Well, I'll start with enough for myself, but I have a bit of land, you know, 1.6 acres, so I could probably have a surplus, you know, so I might start trading some of the food for something else, you know.
Okay, so for what will you trade it?
Maybe fuel, maybe
fuel for what?
Listen, like I'm in Ireland, so I have a drafty house, so I need some fuel to heat my house. So there's lots of people who have claims to bogland where they can get turf. So I could definitely treat some, let's say, my rabbit meat or vegetables or whatever for some fuel for burning.
You're the only food producer because no one else wants to produce food.
I highly doubt that. Out in the country, there's a lot of people.
No. Yeah, you are the only one.
Real Raven, thought experiment.
Fine, let's say I'm the only one. Okay.
No, you are.
Okay, let's say I'm the only one.
Okay, so are you going to make sure that everyone has food, or are you just creating a little bit of surplus and trade what food you have as surplus for your needs?
Well, I don't know. I couldn't look after everyone, but obviously I mean, if you start trading with people and there's a demand, you know, and you can provide for some
people. Sounds like capitalism. I'm gonna make more food so I can sell it, so I can own.
Okay, so basically, even though you are okay with certain forms of how do you call it?
Trade.
But no, listen. It's okay that you're okay with capitalism. It's okay that you're okay with trade. Yeah, that's not the problem. So you're not okay with authoritarianism.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah. If you can define that for me, whatever that is.
Authoritarianism is forcing someone to do something that they might not want to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you being a farmer, you're growing food. Now someone's telling you you need to grow enough food for everyone.
Everyone.
I'd be fucked then because I'd be like a slave.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difference between authoritarianism and a not authoritarian system. I don't really know what to call a non-authoritarian system. Because liberal.
I mean, as Real rightly said, there is no such thing as a perfectly free of authoritarianism, because society has to be cohesive. To be cohesive, you have to put constraints on the individual.
Yeah.
However, there is a difference between our current societies, which basically say there are these rules, you can't break laws, and you have to pay your taxes and so forth. And the sorts of systems that are being touted whereby you have to think the right thing. You have to believe a trans person really has changed sex. That's the difference. It's as much about thought as it is about deed.
And therein lies the problem with authoritarianism.
Yeah. Yep. It's about you believe the wrong thing, you are the enemy, and we're going to kill you for it. And that is not a healthy, that leads to nothing good.
You're making several leaps and bounds there, right?
No, not me. Well, I don't think so. Sorry, I don't think so. But why do you think so?
It's just that we were just talking about like necessities of societal rules, and now you're saying, oh, you believe the wrong thing, and therefore we'll have to kill you.
I'm saying that is what happened. If that's what happened in Nazi Germany, that's what happened in Soviet Russia. So I'm not making this shit up. I'm talking about what happened.
It's what happened in post-World War, the Netherlands, post-World War II.
But
England, post-World War II.
Okay. Let me just point out. Sorry, Modwain. Let me just point out what you did. You just went from, we were talking about doing things and producing things and trading, whatever. Now
that was a digression. It wasn't on topic.
That's the thought experiment was about what you're doing, what you're providing, and Jon is talking about opinions.
Yes, because I said authoritarianism is about controlling opinions. It's about in the mind. I've said this 3 times.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why you are not an authoritarian, because you still think about, you try to, whatever I did, you try to bring it back to free choice and free option. Fair enough.
Yes.
Not enough. Nothing wrong with that. But that also shows that you do whatever you can to try not to be authoritarian, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, we do know that authoritarianism does happen. And as I said, if we look at the end of the Second World War, communists were forbidden. Communism was, nearly forbidden. Life was made impossible for communists in most Western world countries. Life was made impossible for most Nazis, especially, for example, in Europe and America. Why? Because they were guilty of wrongthink. It is a form of authoritarianism. Now, this is the form of authoritarianism that people, on average, don't have a problem with, and I can understand that, but it still is authoritarianism.
I mean, sorry, can I just interject? I mean, what people forget is that when Orwell wrote 1984, he was writing it about Britain during the Second World War. People think he was writing it about the Soviet Union. He wasn't. He was writing it about Britain.
And that's the thing I was trying to say as well. Because we like to think that, this is bad, that is bad, whatever. The thing is, authoritarianism is a slippery slope. And once we are going down that slope, it progresses rather fast, but we don't see it as a problem because it makes sense.
Well, the problem with it is that they always use the greater good. It's for your own good arguments. You know, oh, you're for equality, so you must be a feminist. No, I'm for equality, therefore I'm not a feminist. I'm an anti-feminist.
Yeah.
Because what they push is, what is a clearly supremacist belief system, which clearly is happy and willing to discriminate and destroy the basic foundational freedoms of our society, such as due process and presumption of innocence. But it's only about equality, so you must agree with us. That's authoritarianism.
So much fun, I'll tell you.
So, but do you understand what I'm trying to say with that, Real Raven?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
How do you know?
The difference between authoritarian and not authoritarian is a nuance.
Yeah, it's then.
It's not it is a black and white thing, but that black and white thing is made vague.
Well, no, because any transition from one state to another has a boundary, and the boundary is always blurred.
Well,
it's easy to see clearly on this side, and it's easy to see clearly on that side. But when you get to the boundary,
it becomes more difficult to pinpoint it.
And so what happens is people who are authoritarian present as close to the boundary as they are able, so they can pretend to be on the other side.
Why do authoritarians need to pretend anything?
Because they know most people would balk if they knew what they were really up to.
So you're talking about motivation now, not me.
No, I'm saying that not motivation.
Motivation of the other people.
What they were really up to, that's motivation.
Real Raven. If we look at a country like Venezuela, it's a good example because it shows what happens when why there's a danger in good intention. Let me put it like that. Because when Chavez started to make Venezuela more socialistic, it didn't automatically break the bank. It didn't automatically destroy Venezuela.
Fine.
But the decisions he made and the decisions Maduro made after him have crippled the country. Can we see that?
Yes.
Okay. Was their intention to cripple the country?
Probably not. I don't know. I don't know what his intention was.
I'm going to assume it's not. I'm going to assume.
Well, I'd say his main intention was to stay on top of the food chain, whatever,
Raven, I don't think anybody wants to purposely cripple a country.
No.
Indeed. So his intention was probably to stay in power.
That's more likely.
Yeah. And that's a form of authoritarianism. And by doing that, he needed people to allow him to take that place. So you need people to support you, at least for a while.
Yep.
So how do you make people support you?
No, Brennan.
Well, you can ask or just tell them.
Well, you can present yourself as
force them or give them some handouts. I don't know.
Yeah, you're going to give them what they think they want or need.
Yep.
Yeah, trade of favors, even though they're not concrete.
Yeah. And at the same time, you take away small liberties.
Whatever, yeah. I don't think that Chavez has a lot to offer to his populace, at the moment. People are hungry.
Yeah. But how did he get there?
So But how did
he get there? He got there by promising,
ignoring everybody.
No, he got there by being voted in, by offering them things they thought would be good.
Yeah.
What did he offer?
Welfare.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably.
He did.
Better financial
it's just
quality
money
in the country, probably. Extended share lands for growth. Those are the most common things they offer in Venezuela when it's election time. They're going to take big parts of lands of the rich that don't use it and give it to the poor that might use it for growth of produce, so they can sustain themselves and election in Venezuela. The debates that he had.
Oh, the thing is, you entice people to vote for you, and then eventually you have so much control because the laws have changed so much in your favor that it's very difficult for people to stand up against them. And we've seen this in every socialistic country so far. The only reason why I talk about Venezuela right now is because it's relatively fresh.
Yeah, they're all over the news, yeah.
Because Chavez and later Maduro, because Maduro didn't create it either. I mean, he continued on the path of Chavez. People voted for Chavez because he wanted to help the poor people.
Yep. There's always more poor people than rich, so you will get votes.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, guys, I don't do super chats, so don't worry about that.
Oh shit! I just wanted to give you £5 or something. Just
Well, thank you.
Why did you do super chats? Come on, Modwain.
No. YouTube makes way too much money for that, and they've been fucking me over all the time, so I'm not even looking. Listen, I monetized my channel back in the day, not so much because I wanted to make money, but because YouTube could make money off of me. And
it's also theoretical. I'm just so pissed. It's so theoretical. Let's talk about capitalism, baby.
We can do that too. But listen, capitalism has the same problem, because I'm not going to say capitalism is completely scot-free. We have, at this point in time, two strong systems that are fucking up the system. And they're both based on authoritarianism. You've got socialism, which is an authoritarian situation, and you have plutocracy, which is
Islam. That's
Islam. Okay, 3, fair enough. But if we're looking in the Western world, if we're looking at our leaders are pushing the idea of sociology.
This is part of my thesis. You see, this is why I wanted to talk about it, because at the time the left emerged at the end of the 18th and start of the 19th century, the right was, like you say, authoritarian. There was discrimination against much of the population, and they were darn sure that was going to persist. And so the fact that the situations have flipped to a large extent needs investigating and understanding if we're to use terms properly. Because when people talk about the left and they mean, say, Marxism, and then you have somebody who's a or an anarchist leftist who believes in freedom, then you talk about two fundamentally different systems of thought.
Yeah. Are you saying you want to be a totalitarian there, John?
No, all I'm saying is that a lot of discourse gets muddied because people throw terms around with vague, ambiguous, and shifting meanings, and that we are better. And all it was an explanation with the conclusion, which I've been pushing for years now, that we should stop using terms like left and right and should talk about authoritarians versus individualism or libertarianism.
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to be AFK for a sec. I'll be right back.
No worries.
No problem.
As those are better predictors of what somebody actually pushes for than the old left-right terminology, which doesn't really seem to mean much anymore.
You have a point.
I mean, that's all it was. I just got fed up of the way the terms were being used. So I just did an historical exploration of what they used to mean compared to what they now mean. And all this is an argument for not caring about that side of the spectrum, but looking at the up and down spectrum of how liberal are you or how authoritarian you are. And those aren't my terms. If you look at the political compass, those are the terms on the political compass. So I'm not saying this is what you must call these things. I'm just adopting the terms already out there.
John, I'm a little bit suspicious on the whole political compass craze that's recently swept the whole spectrum of the like the popular YouTube sphere that we hang out in. It's I'm a little bit suspicious about it because I don't know. I don't like those drawers. You know, it's another drawer. There's the left and right drawer. There's the libertarian drawer, right?
No. I understand. But my point is to say there's far more in common between a leftist libertarian like myself and a right libertarian than there is between a left libertarian and myself and a socialist who I don't feel I've got anything in common with.
Right.
So what I'm saying is the traditional spectrum would have me with the socialist. But I don't feel like I've got anything in common with them. I feel I've got more in common with people who are for liberty as much as I am. That's all. And it's not saying it's perfect, but it's saying, people say, oh, they're going further and further left. And I keep saying they're not going left. They're going up. They're becoming more authoritarian. And
so you're not okay with people telling other people what to do. Let's choose a profession for this guy right here that's just standing. That's not cool, right?
Well, in all fairness, if you look at it from a black and white point of view, this isn't about left or right, because within capitalism, you also have authoritarianism. This is plutocracy.
Yep, definitely do.
It's corporatism.
Can we look at? Sorry, can we look at what fuels it? What actually powers that drive towards authoritarianism? Control. I think it's a lot of it is it's fear. You know, it's kind of people.
No, it's control.
Control is a means again. Control.
No, you're right, Real. I agree with you. Yes.
Control is not just a means.
It's a counter reaction. It's a reactionary movement against what people perceive as chaos and dangerous.
No. That's an oversimplification. Control is power. It's the only real power out there.
Okay, so what's good about power?
Depends who you are.
Why power? Why power? You still have to.
Real. Okay. The postmodernist analysis was that everything's ultimately about power. And if you listen to sections like some of the feminists, some of the SJW, whatever you want to call them, it's all about power. That is their explicit goal. And they have said it's their explicit goal.
Okay, on that end, why the obsession with power?
Well, you'd have to ask them, but they have said that is what they consider. Everything's a power dynamic. Everything's all about power. That's why
we don't need to ask them. We can. I'm sure we can analyze this, and we can make an educated guess why they are so obsessed with that.
Power is control. There is only one form of power, and that is control. Now there are
why control ways. Again? Why? I completely think that it's a counter. Let me talk for a sec. I completely think it's a counter-reactionary thing. It's not like, oh, we love power. We love power because power is absolute.
No, we don't love power.
It's a counter-reactionary. Let me just finish. It's a counter-reactionary goal that comes from power. Is the and the antidote to this fear or chaos, or whatever, you know, this oppression.
No.
Okay. I have to say no too. Sorry, Real.
Power and control are basically Well, the same side of a coin. Yeah, I'm in power. I'm in control. Why? This is authoritarianism because I have the power. Why? Now, let me finish then, because you want me to let you finish. Let me finish then. Why do I need the power? Because I need to be in control. It's a form of insecurity. Let's be honest. I'm insecure. Therefore, I need power.
Okay.
No.
So, like when you frame it, it's a counter-reaction to insecurity. So that's your motive. It's not that you love power.
No, it's not. It's not. What it is they engaged in very lengthy scholarship, and they decided, usually through being complete morons, that everything comes down to power, and therefore they think, oh, we know what's better for society, so we want the power to do it.
Yeah.
But why?
Because they want to control. Because they think they know how to fix problems that don't exist.
Okay. Again, why?
Because they think there are problems, and they think they know how to fix them.
Right. So that's where you need to go. Go to the problems. Go to the problems. Go down.
Let me answer your question. You have kids, right?
2 girls, yes.
Okay. You want the very best for them, right?
Obviously.
Okay, so that means that at times you told them what they could and could not do, right?
Never. I never told them what they could do and could not do.
Oh,
never.
No, don't even walk there. I know that's a lie.
I have intelligent children.
Okay.
In German, of course.
They can find out themselves what's good.
Yeah, when they're 3 years old and they wanted to do something, and you thought, yeah, maybe you shouldn't play with that electric saw blade.
No, this is not the way that it works. This is not the way that it works. You give them the mental tools to find out themselves whether that. You can't tell. Oh, this could be bad. This is not the way that it works when you have kids.
So they don't run around with scissors, do they?
I don't know. not as far as
they
I
might
know.
I
never told them not to run around with scissors.
Did you allow them to run around with scissors when they were 3 years old?
Scissors, knife.
No, I don't know. I did not. I didn't ever prohibit it. It's not that I like.
Never mind. Okay, you're basically doing everything you can not to show that you didn't put any restriction on your kids.
It's just that, like, if you have okay. Hold on. Look, I know that I can be injured by a scissors, so I will give that deference to this. Oh, look, there's a scissors. There's a knife. It's dangerous. I can cut myself. And if I live that, if I live that as an example, and I pay the proper attention to this tool, then you live it for your children. It's not like, oh, look, there's a knife. It's just nothing. It's just like you have to be an example for your children. That's all there is.
That still doesn't work that way, Real. I'm sorry, I have to disagree.
Well, the problem is that I don't care if Real did that. It's irrelevant because 99.9999999% of people don't. So let's get with the rest of the population.
It's just a made up. That's just a made up statistics.
No, everyone except for you tell their kids what they can and can't do.
Why? Why would they do that? You don't have to do
I'm
that.
100%.
You're a parent. You want the best for them.
It's an evolutionary impulse to stop them. No, it's an evolutionary impulse. You instruct your children.
Okay.
You don't. You fucking don't.
Did you ever tell your kids to eat their greens?
No.
You never told them to eat their greens?
No, ever.
Right.
I add my greens. That's it. Just,
so if they want to eat sugar all day, that's okay, right?
Well, you don't make it available to them. That's it. You don't feed them.
It doesn't have to be available. Okay, you have sugar in the house.
No.
What?
Wait a second.
No, you don't have it in the house, obviously.
I thank you for opening this doorway. So, Real Raven, if they want to eat sugar, you limit their access to it.
Well, there's one thing, right? Tea. It's a really simple example. No. Give me. Let me. Don't shut me down.
Sugar, right? Stop evading.
Sugar tea, right? Tea with sugar. We think it's disgusting, so we always gave. Listen.
It's not in England. Come to England.
No, listen. Shut up, John.
No, real Raven.
You want to hear my?
This is very unfair of you, and I understand why you do it.
Not unfair. You wanted to hear what
you heard yourself say a moment ago when Just said about sugar. You said, "Make sure they can't get it." You didn't say those words, but that's what you said. You restrict
Easter, right? So you have those chocolate eggs you hide for the kids.
You restrict access to it. Did you or did you not say that?
Yes.
And there you have it. That is a form of authoritarianism. Form of authoritarianism.
And there you go. See, I was going to get to my point eventually. You cannot raise kids without any kind of authority.
Of course it is.
That is the job of the parent. The kids like it or not, and the parent likes it or not. Right. You are an authoritarian to your children.
And it's a favor to them.
I have no problem with that.
Okay, so we can agree to parents are authoritarian towards their kids, even though you try to avoid
because they are authorities.
Were authoritarian to your kid.
Okay, listen, if you stop talking about over me, there are authorities about their kids because they also make sure that their kids survive, right? Because without the parents and without their supervision, the kids would not survive. They just wouldn't.
Okay. So, you're an authoritarian because you care about your children, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm not even arguing the point. I'm not saying you're wrong or right.
So I have no problems with that. I have no problems with like 31 or 35 or 41 or 45-year-old person having authority about a 2-year-old.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But
I don't have a problem with that.
Why? What do you get out of it?
What I get out of it is that you get to a certain point, and that's usually, in our societies, and it's like when you're able to vote, it's 18 years old, where you say, okay, now it's you. You make up your own decisions.
Okay. So at a certain point in time,
at a certain point in time, and we call it the voting age or whatever you call it.
Let me put that in a simple sentence. At a certain point in time, you feel your children are capable enough to take care of themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now here is what a left wing. This is what an authoritarian does. I don't know when you're capable of taking care of yourself. You need me to take care of you.
Never ends. Yeah, and I can tell you, fuck the fuck off.
But that's authoritarianism. And why do they do that? Because they care about you. And because they know what's best. Therefore, you have to listen.
Not just because they care, because they think they're better.
Yeah, exactly. Well done. You just hit the nail on the head. And you said the magic words.
And they think they're better, and therefore you need to listen to them because they want you to do well as well. But the only way for you to do well is to do what they tell you to.
Yes.
So let's talk about the European Union and Brexit.
No. This is what we're talking about, and you're deflecting, mate. You're trying to defend it.
I'm not deflecting.
The point is, I used the word authoritarian, and an hour ago, Real took exception to that one particular word.
And now he admits to it.
And then the point was, it was all deflection away from the topic.
No. I was talking about motivation, You said that oh God.
You were entering into some semantic argument.
No.
The point was...
No. No, you think that
the left was for freedom, and then left wing associated with left wing ideologies, which are authoritarian in nature.
That's bullshit.
I'm talking about what I said.
No, I'm not talking about left or right. I'm not talking about left or right at all.
But that's the topic of the fucking conversation.
No, authoritarianism is.
No, look at the title. Wonders about what the left is.
I'm not looking at the title.
Well,
I'm looking
real. The rest of us are.
I don't care about the fucking title. What I'm talking about is what you said is authoritarianism is a means to an end, and that's what
I didn't say authoritarian was a means to an end. You did.
No, what you said is.
I said it's an innate tendency.
No, but what you said is it's because it's whatever, authoritarianism is what people tend to, because that's what they like, and what I
did not.
What I said was that look at the motivation underneath. Why are people?
I did not say. Don't put words in my mouth. Don't strawman me.
Right?
I said authoritarianism is an innate, evolved tendency in people, just as people will be authoritarian to their kids because that's how they look after their kids and make sure they grow up safe and sound.
I don't think
no one said it was a bad thing. It's just a thing, and we are just describing it.
Right, but I don't think so. I think that you're taking a step too far. Authoritarianism.
Okay, fine. We'll use a different word, but that isn't the point.
No. I think authoritarianism is the second step to the first step.
What's the first step?
That's exactly the problem. You don't want to address that.
You don't know what I'm saying.
It makes me get a hard on if there's some rules that apply to people, and I think that's not the underlying thing about it. It's not, I love rules, I love people, I love rules that rule over me.
That is what is going on. Only you in your head. And then you won't listen to us deny it.
No, I'm just trying to dig deeper.
No, you're not. Look, I was giving an explanation of what was in my videos, and you derailed on one word.
I derailed.
Yeah. And I've been trying
you sure did.
to recognize what we're talking about.
I'm just providing an explanation how the origins of the left started in a fight for equality. But when they developed socialism, it stopped being for equality because, by definition, the socialism said, rich men bad. We must oppress the rich men, which is not for equality.
Okay, let's take it to rich men bad, right? That's the motive there, right? Rich men.
It doesn't matter what the motive is.
No, it does.
Doesn't.
So
it does, because you all get just hung up on the means.
No,
the opposite.
Real Raven, define
opposite.
Seriously, define rich.
Good question, like that one. Go ahead, Real. Answer that one.
Rich is, I think it's more like a differential. Like it's somebody who has more than a lot more than I have.
A lot more what?
That's not a definition. That's a positioning.
A lot more whatever. A lot more free time.
Like food.
A lot of
whatever,
food,
like
a lot
resources,
of free time.
food, whatever. Like even agency.
A lot more agency.
Yes.
Well, that's funny because how much agency do you have?
I have loads of agency because I'm self-employed.
Do you have more or less agency than people who are not self-employed?
Yes, I have more.
And how do you know that you have more?
Because I don't sit in my car 2 hours a day or 2.5 cursing at the fucking traffic.
Okay. But I have a job and I enjoy my job. I'm not sitting in a car for 2 hours in a day. I don't have to worry about where my money is going to come from next week. Because I have a job, so I know where my money is coming for. Who of us has more agency?
I still have more agency.
But I have more security. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you've got security. I've got agency.
Okay.
So is Modwain more rich than you are?
No, he's more rich.
More rich.
He has agency. I have more security, but he has more.
What is rich? I don't know. I don't.
That's what I was asking you.
Metric. Rich is not a metric I care about very much.
Unfortunately,
you can measure it. That's why it's called rich.
No. Unfortunately, it is central to the definition of socialism and Marxism as defined in the mid-19th century. Because they did talk about the rich as an objectively identifiable group of people. So you might not care, but we have the historical legacy of those particular circumstances, terminology defined during those particular circumstances.
I understand, but it's a 19th century.
Okay, but the whole point of my argument, the whole point of my doing 2 videos so far, is because there's a conflation in the public mind about the left between things that are derived and descended from the 19th century and things that pertain in the 21st century. And it leaves everything ambiguous, confused, and muddled. And all I was doing by my videos was explaining this.
I haven't watched those 2 videa. I'm sorry.
Well, fair enough.
All I can say is that I'm a little bit confused because I don't know what your metric is. But my metric is like, how do I plan my day? You know, and what can I do? What did I do today? Like I tidied it up at the studio. You know,
Real Raven, you're deflecting.
Huh?
I'm sorry, but you're deflecting.
Thank Mod.
We were talking about,
from what?
We were talking about authoritarianism.
Okay.
Yeah? You were deflecting on that because you didn't feel you were authoritarian, even though in the end you could admit that there were times when you were authoritarian. We were talking about
it's not about me. It's about society.
You make everything about you.
You make it about you, and at the same time you're saying it's not about
you
me.
sure do, Rio. I'm sorry, but you do steer every direction of the conversation towards you.
It's okay. I'm not angry. I'm not annoyed. But let's look from the point of view. We tell you, people do. I mean, at the moment, the left-wing authoritarian, but I assume this is true for the right-wing authoritarians as well. They are authoritarian either to gain more power. Well, actually, it's always to gain more power, and sometimes it's just to gain power, and sometimes they do it because they want to do good for everyone else. Right. This is what Lewis was talking about when he was talking about. Oh, how would you say this? This is what Lewis was talking about when he was talking about the robber baron against the authoritarian for our moral good. And you're talking about how moral good is not a real reason, but at the same time you can admit that you are authoritarian toward your kids because of the moral good.
Don't confuse me, Mod.
Either you are being subversive on purpose, or you're so drunk that you can't even follow it anymore. I leave that one up to you.
Authoritarian.
Well, oh, what the hell did I do? Did I kill my sound? I killed my sound.
It's funny, I'm just reading Sinvaris in the comments, and he's just described my political position perfectly.
Yeah. Well, Sin and I have had some discussions here and there.
Because that's exactly that. I'm a left-wing libertarian, which is that position that you have a government which provides, it has laws and you enforce the law as long as they're not potty, which some of which are. But on an individual level, the individual should be free to act according to what they wish themselves, to the extent they're not hurting anybody else. So if you want to go and inject loads of heroin, go and inject it. Yeah. Because the prohibition and the illegal drug trade are far worse to society than you killing yourself with too much heroin.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of funny that you think authoritarian towards your kids is laughable, but that's how the left-wing politicians are popular. They have to be authoritarian because they have to educate the masses. This is what's actually happening.
Is left-wing libertarian one for open borders? No, I'm yes for open borders.
Well, no, sorry, not left-wing libertarian. Left-wing authoritarian, yes. Because left-wing authoritarian is basically globalism with a new code.
No, I'm not for open borders. I'm for anything but open borders. I'm for control migration.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, mate.
Sorry, it's just I had a laughing flash. I'm drunk, but authoritarian towards your kids. Authoritarian towards your kids, obviously. Yes.
But then now you understand why there are politicians that are authoritarian towards.
But politicians are not my fucking parents, okay?
Yeah, but they consider them our parents.
All right, I don't fucking care if.
Will
you just let me talk one sentence? You keep cutting across.
Go on, mate.
I really don't care if politicians think that they are parents to me. They are not. They aren't. Right? Authoritarian towards your children. Yes, you are an authority to your children because the children aren't they aren't in any league of deciding, okay, what we're gonna have food today, how we're gonna survive, are we going to have education, whatever, what are we gonna watch on television, what kind of games we play. That's kids. It's not gonna work for them. You need to be authoritarians, but politicians.
Okay.
Hold on. That power difference or that cognitive difference between politicians, you think politicians, and the lowly populace, the lowly citizen. There's not much there. They make the laws, okay, but they don't have a lot of deeper insight of the human psyche or whatnot. They do not, and especially the likes of the likes of Merkel, who has not got kids. She hasn't got kids.
Okay.
Right? Merkel has no kids. She has no idea how to care.
I let you rant for a while.
I'm drunk, sorry.
That's okay, we noticed that. But here's the thing. That you are authoritarian towards your kids has a reason. No, now you let me finish. That you are authoritarian towards your kids has a reason, an acceptable and understandable reason. On this, we can agree.
Right.
Where we are not in agreement is that you do not see that the same principle applies from our leaders, our chosen leaders or our appointed leaders towards us. And whether we like it or not has nothing to do with it, because I'm 100% sure that our kids have had moments in time where they didn't like us being authoritarian towards them, but they had to accept it. And the same problem applies to us. We might not like our politicians to be authoritarian towards us, but they can be. And we also know that if something can be, it will be.
Right.
So you saying I don't want them to be authoritarian, yeah, that's nice. It means jack all.
Right. So there's principle. So there's principles of like freedom of speech. There's democracy. Right.
Okay. What freedom of speech do you have?
I do not know, honestly. I'm in Ireland, but I honestly do not know. I haven't tested the boundaries. I'm very cautious.
Why are you cautious?
I'm not sure.
Why are you cautious?
I'm not sure, because I do have. I'm self-employed. I have my own business, right? So I do sell stuff, right? I'm trying to not conflate what I'm doing in my YouTube kind of online. I don't know what you call that. My online. I don't know what the name is, you know, the avatar, the Real Raven, my parody channels, you know. I don't know, I do not try to conflate that with my kind of business kind of identity. I don't know what the name is, you know. And also I'm pissed. So I don't know.
So basically, you're saying to me that, yes, I'm against certain things, but I don't know why.
What? No.
You do know why.
I'm against restriction of speech. That's the first thing I'm against.
Okay. So has your speech in any way recognized?
I'm very careful, but what we have seen in the last 2 or 3 days.
So the answer to that is yes.
What?
So the answer to that must be yes.
To what?
Does your speech have restrictions?
Of course it has, because...
So, do you have free speech then?
Do I have free speech? I don't think I have 100% free speech. No, I do not think so. Not if I say, oh, that's me and that's my identity.
I love how you try to muddy the water. The question is quite simple.
Muddy
the water. You're making it murky. You're trying to obfuscate. You're trying to deflect.
I don't think anybody has free speech. No, I don't think so.
Okay, so do we have free speech?
No, we don't.
Then how is that an argument of yours? Because that's the argument you came earlier. Well, I think I have free speech. Well, you don't.
No, I didn't say that.
That's what you said. Yeah, you did.
I didn't say I think I have free speech.
No, you didn't say I think I have free speech. You said I have free speech.
I didn't say that either. I don't recall that.
Okay.
We'll rewind it later.
Review.
Yeah.
Give us a timestamp. I'm so pissed.
Yeah. But that's the problem, and you are trying.
It's not a problem.
Well,
you can get my honest opinion. Ask me something. I'll ask you. I'll answer you honestly. Oh, look, Licia is there.
We were talking about why authoritarianism is a problem and whether it's left wing or right wing, and what is left wing. And
authoritarianism is a problem, but I don't think it's an end to a means. I think that people who steer toward authoritarianism, that was my initial
and then I proved
thought that it's not people. They don't want authoritarianism. They want other things. And
yes, we know.
It's just a fucking tool.
Disagreed with you, Real.
Okay,
I said people are authoritarian,
right,
and they tend towards political ideologies that enable them to be authoritarian. And I'm not saying any of that is conscious. I am saying it's just how it works out. People who think they know better, who think they are better, or think that they know what's right, and everyone else, if they could just understand, would agree with them.
Yeah, so
these are the people who go towards particular ideologies like Marxism, like socialism, that say, everyone must do what I say because I know what's best. And that label for that is authoritarianism. Because at the end, they are quite happy to literally kill people towards that end.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, but Real Raven, you have been trying to make that point rather vague. No, you don't agree. Well, but in the end, you do agree.
Real Raven puts a gray in gray, I'll tell you.
Everybody's ganging up on me.
Yes.
Come on, Raven. You know, there is the black and white, there's the gray area. Your gray area has a gray area.
My gray area is a gray area.
Yeah, but I mean, when I ask you, when I go back to the thought experiment, you did everything you could to give evasive answers. At first, when we talk about are you authoritarian towards your kid? No, I'm not. Of course I'm not. I never was. These are positions you have taken.
What? So, okay, hold on. What is authoritarian? And again, what's the definition of authoritarian?
Being the boss.
Yeah,
you have to be the boss. If you're not to the boss, you haven't got. Well, you've got a kid, right?
It's the command of giving people options of what to do and what not to do. Both sides of the coin.
So the question is that why do we think that that is a good idea that government should be should have authority. That's the basic idea, right?
No. No, that's not the basic idea. The idea is what is causing government to become authoritarian. That's what we were talking about. And what is the left? That's what we were talking about. And at first,
what is causing?
We're going back in steps, mate. We've already been here.
I know. I'm drunk.
Yeah, so I'm going to cut this line of. Listen, I'm easy to give a lot of leeway, but on this case, I'm going to say, okay, enough of this. John, good night, Ludicrous. By the way, John, you still wanted to continue?
Well, funnily enough, we've kind of mentioned the key points in the discussion in a roundabout way, which is to say, basically, my thesis is that there was a historical situation prior to the mid-19th century where what we can call the left was for fighting for the individual and was fighting for equality. And then Marx came along, did his communist manifesto, and totally fucked things up, so that instead of fighting for the individual, it became all about the collectivism. And collectivism is by necessity authoritarian because they pitched one part of the population against the other part of the population, and so that other part will do what we say and agree with us, and we will eliminate them as a class, which means they had to be authoritarian. And so the two ideas of collectivism and authoritarian are inevitably two faces of one coin. But because of that, because it got called a left-wing ideology, people think that is the left. But it's the opposite of what the left started as, which was for the individual and for freedom. But today you get certain people who identify on the left, who are of the individualistic, freedom-loving sort, and you've got the, oh no, everything must be owned by the state and private property must be abolished, which are ludicrous ideas. Okay.
No, ludicrous left. No.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, couldn't do that.
They aren't his ideas, but you know what I mean. They are stupid ideas. And so when people now talk about the left and going further left, they aren't talking about the left. They're talking about going up into authoritarianism. And if we look at every manifestation of a supposedly socialistic state, what do you get? Do you get a workers' utopia, or do you get a tiny bureaucratic political elite who are fabulously wealthy and privileged, and all the workers are forced to work, have no freedom, are spied upon, such as the Stasi in East Germany, and this isn't the striving for equality. The only equality is the equality of misery. And all I was wanting to do was just to explain that the historical situation, that was where it came from, and how useless the terms left and right actually are, because if you ask somebody now who's on the right, do you believe in equality? They'll believe in all the things that were left-wing way back in the beginning of the 19th century.
Welcome, Toxic.
That the then right-wing didn't support.
Hi there, Toxic.
Hi, Toxic.
Oh, hello. How are you gentlemen doing this fine day?
We're getting up a
rave.
One of us has a problem breathing because he's too drunk.
No, he drank too much to actually give a coherent argument as to why taxation is theft and government suck.
I drank too much.
Well, the funny thing is, you see, that was originally a left-wing position.
Yeah. That is true. Taxation being theft.
I've come to the conclusion that left-wing, right-wing, communists or Democrats, Republicans, all that crap, is actually a social construct by the commies to further divide us. Because realistically, what you need to focus on is one issue at a time. And because, like, I know Democrats aren't collectively pro-abortion, but the way that everybody spins it is that if you're a Democrat, you have to be pro-abortion. That is monopolistic. And if you really trace it back to Plato, that motherfucker knew what he was doing, and he has screwed us all.
Yeah. Well, it's the authoritarianism. If you look at any political party, the striving for a uniform position, and it just, as you say, it doesn't matter where you are on the, you know, whether you're conservative or whatever, is the authoritarian aspect of that particular area of politics. So and therefore the solution is to get away from the authoritarians.
Right.
Yeah, but so some people don't. Wait. Some people think that what they're doing is not authoritarian.
Oh, I agree.
There are many things, there's many laws that have passed that even diehard libertarians would be for. They would be for it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair,
I think there is authoritarianism, but we're missing something.
Well,
we're missing a link.
It's a balance because there's no true individualism and there's no true collectivism. Everything's a compromise.
John, why? What is sexy about authoritarianism? Why?
Don't ask me. I've been anti-authoritarian my whole life.
You always think that authoritarianism, it's great and people love it. Why?
Who said that's great and people love it?
Whoever said
You said it. You said it. You always say authoritarianism is everything that's geared toward. Why? Why is that the goal?
No. Authoritarian isn't everything people want. There's a group of people that want to be in control, and they use whatever.
Why?
I already explained that. I'm not going to repeat myself again.
Why? Because I don't know. I can recognize people's behaviors and tendencies.
John, you're not looking. You're looking at the tool. You're not looking at the motive.
Look, real. With no offense, but watch my fucking videos, and then you can talk with authority what I believe.
I think this is what I think it is. If you actually study the Milgram experiment and look at it from Haslam, Hamilton, and a couple other guys, is that usually people follow authority not because they blindly follow authority, but because they think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So they're attracted to authority not because for authority's sake, but they think it's the right thing to do. Now, I'm just going to give the best and easiest example, but we're not going to talk about it. But the best and easiest example is forced vaccination. Almost collectively across the board, all parents and all people in a society collectively go along with it, not because they buy into the authority of the medical industry, but because they think they're doing the right thing. And in a lot of cases where you have this authoritarianism or ushering in totalitarianism, people are doing it because they think it's the right thing. People actually believe taxing by the government is a good and just and noble thing. Even, that's why they go along with that authority, because they believe it's the right thing. So realistically, it's not the authoritarian that is in charge and causing us trouble. It is all the people following them thinking they're doing the right thing.
It's a little, there's a feedback loop, though, to an extent, insofar as, it's like what do you believe? What do you understand? Well, if someone says something a lot, it becomes a kind of folk understanding. Whether it's true or not, people will believe it. It's the thing about repeating a lie. And so it's like you still got people blathering on about the wage gap, no matter how often. Over 40 years, it's been solidly debunked, and no economist worth their salt will support it. It still has currency. Why? Because it's repeated so often. And then when people say we need to fix the wage gap, people say, oh yeah, we need to fix the wage gap, because they literally don't know any different. So there's a sort of feedback loop that, oh, we're going to do this good thing, even though that thing isn't real and doesn't need doing. And people will then vote for that simply because they've been convinced it needs doing and it's a good thing.
Okay. So in the end, we're going back and forth and back and forth. We spend a lot of time trying to convince Real Raven how he is basically trolling.
Yeah, well, that's okay. But I've given up on that.
I thought that's what I was telling him all this time, that his gray area has a gray area.
It's too bad, really. It's too bad.
But he's correct in a lot of what he says. It's just a matter of articulating it so the rest can understand. Because I don't know.
Whether you believe taxation is theft or not, has, funny enough, nothing to do with the question whether something is authoritarian or not. I mean,
taxation is authoritarian
in a way, but it doesn't have to be in a negative way. I mean, if we look at America, for example, they didn't have.
You're saying there's positive authoritarianism? Is that what I missed in the?
Yes, there can be.
Shit. Okay.
There can be. I have to agree with.
I can't think of one, but please give me an example.
Oh, are you authoritarian towards your children?
No.
Here we go again.
That's the same that Real Raven said, and it's simply not true. There are things you limit.
No, I do stewardship. I do a stewardship, which is a different thing. Stewardship is the right direction. I think that if we do that across the board with
that's what Real Raven
everybody
said.
That we'd probably have a better time. So you can't, and then also it's kind of a misnomer to wait. It's a misnomer to bring up children, because children can't live by the principle. Therefore, it's a false equivalent. You can't. If you want to speak about laws and positive authoritarianism, you need to pick an age group that can live not by the non-aggression principle, to give a good example, but giving, like, you stopping a 2-year-old from sticking their hand in a fire as a good means of showing and proving that authoritarianism is real is not a real. That's not a real argument, because the kid would die if you didn't do it.
I'm sorry, Alicia. The principle behind it is the same. Why are you authoritarian towards your kids? Because you want to protect them.
No, see, you're doing that again. You cannot judge parenting as the same as running a country.
All right.
They are two separate things. If I were to run a country like I would raise my children for the first 2 years of their life, everybody would have to, it would be a nanny authoritarian state. So comparing the two is unrealistic, and is exactly how every single bad law gets passed, because they say, well, we got to protect the 2-year-old, so all the adults can't eat meat anymore. It's not the same kind of argument.
Telling a society that they're not allowed to smoke is not a form of protectionism towards the adults, because they are not smart enough to choose not to drink.
That's authoritarianism. That is authoritarianism. It's not positive in any way. Give me a positive example of adult authoritarianism.
When you think of it, they're going to live longer.
This is not so much about whether it's positive or not. This is what they're doing. That's the point I'm trying to make. Whether it's a positive thing or not, I will leave open to discussion. But if you have a government that tells you what you can and cannot do to protect you from yourself, that is a form of authoritarianism. But it's the same form of authoritarianism you use to protect your children.
No,
Yes. Why would you protect
that is the most
an adult?
disgusting thing I've heard.
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to have to formulate an argument, because what you're doing right now is you're using an ethical argument based off of the non-aggression principle and applying it to children. And that same exact argument that you just used is what the pedophiles are using to get their rights to molest children. So you cannot, the second that you start down the slippery slope of allowing for the non-aggression principle to be utilized with children or vice versa, you're actually helping the most authoritarian group of them all, which are the pedophiles.
I'm not saying I'm helping them. I'm saying that this is what's happening. I'm not saying whether I'm in favor of it or not. This is what's happening. Whether we like it or not.
Why?
Because it is.
Wait a minute. I thought you were arguing in favor of it. That's what it sounds like to me, that you were arguing a positive authoritarianism.
No.
So do you believe?
The thing is, why would the government know better?
Please, let me finish. The difference between a positive and a negative form of authoritarianism is nuance. It's perception. So what you might think is negative, someone else might think is positive. I think it's all negative because it can't be positive because it's authoritarianism.
Okay, thank you, Modwain. I thought you were arguing that positive authoritarianism was good, and I was like having a fucking heart attack.
No, we were disagreeing with Real, who was being argumentative that what is authoritarianism? It's not a thing, it's just a method.
But at the same thing, if we look at where authoritarianism...
I didn't say... Sorry, John,
now I'm going to silence you, seriously. That's bloody hell. The point I was trying to make is that if we look where authoritarianism comes from in a social interaction sort of way, it comes from the same principle as people raising their children. I'm not saying it's good, because at a certain point in time, your children are well able to take care of themselves in certain ways. Now, an authoritarian government still treats its subjects, its citizens, as children that don't know any better. And therein lies the problem. And that's why authoritarianism... Oh, sorry. You missed it now. I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
No, I'm back. So no.
You missed what I said, though. So I'm going to rephrase it. Try to rephrase it. The problem with authoritarianism is that it comes from a natural thing. We, as parents, are going to be authoritarian towards our children for a period of time until they are able to take care of themselves. Now, the same principle is the reason why authoritarian politicians are authoritarian, because they want to raise the citizens. But whereas a parent at a certain point in time recognizes, I don't have to be authoritarian towards my kid anymore because he can take care of himself, the politicians will always feel the need to be educatory towards its citizenry. And that's the problem with authoritarianism. It basically assumes that the individual can't take care of himself and therefore needs the nanny state government to take care of them.
I really do not give a shit what politicians feel.
Yeah, but that's not interesting whether we agree or care. It's the world we live in, whether we like it or not.
We do not vote for politicians according to their feelings, right?
It doesn't matter. It's the world we live in, whether we like it or not.
No, you vote for politicians according to policy.
It doesn't matter whether we like it. It doesn't matter whether we vote for them. The government is the government, whether we agree with them or not.
But it's policy, not feelings.
Again, Real Raven. Now you're stepping out of one different ground, and you're stepping into my kind of ground.
Right.
And as much as the argument is going on, Modwain, I am in favor of ordering people what to do. Real Raven might not like it, but this is how I see things working the best way. Is when you tell people what to do, regardless how they feel or if they're going to accomplish that order.
Holy shit, that's fucked up, bro. Why do you feel that somebody has the right to tell someone else how to live their life?
Because when you do military, this is how it goes.
So the military, because you were trained like that, you've decided to approach that in all of your life doing. So if I'm ordered to fuck some guy, I should just fuck him?
I think that's way beyond my understanding of giving orders. I would never order that kind of crap.
But I understand that, but it's the same kind of principle. You start with the most extreme,
okay,
and then go backwards.
Hold on. No, I understand, Tox. I understand your point of view, and that is ridiculous beyond belief. Obviously, someone out there might think that it's a good idea to tell women to screw them because he's the prince of, better things that God gave to earth. But there's no such thing. I would shoot that man myself. You don't have to even worry. I'm saying about.
But that's
orders
where it
to make
starts.
a society. Orders to make a society work better. Okay.
But that's very effective. In China, in order to make society work better, they would take women that had gotten pregnant a second time and forcibly aborted their babies. In Saudi Arabia, to better control the society, they have chastity laws. And if a woman is raped, yes, the men are punished, but so is she, and she goes to jail. And
those are really bad decisions.
If Europe right now, because society needs to remain functioning, they have now ordered their people that they're not allowed to say or do certain things online. And if they don't do it, they go to jail.
Yes.
In America, they have ordered us not to smoke marijuana. And if you smoke marijuana, you could lose your entire house to civil asset forfeiture. I'm trying to I would like to, outside of like basic common laws, like.
I understand your point of view now.
Because it's too subjective.
Now, here's the thing. Some of those things that you're talking about, they are real. They are going on. The problem is the ordering of things you can do and cannot do at some point got mixed in with people's personal crap. Okay. Now, I'm against drugs all the way. To me, burn the drugs, burn the people that use it. But I can't do that. That's personal. You can't mix this kind of stuff with personal. When it becomes mixed, you put personal in the middle, it becomes this freaking mayhem that's going on everywhere. You think the thing in China, that is a personal matter that came in somewhere down the line, and they just like, well, now it's a law, it's not personal. It's not personal now, but at some point it was, and they just adopted it like it was a okay thing. It's not okay, ever. The thing in Saudi Arabia, again, that was a law that was made because of some personal thing in the middle. It's not personal now, but it was at some point. You can't mix personal feelings with orders. It does not work.
Saudi Arabia? What do you mean?
Well, the rapist and the victim, they both get punished.
Oh.
Yeah. So if a guy rapes a woman in Saudi Arabia, the rapist gets punished and the victim gets punished. That's their law.
The rapist only gets punished if the woman can prove that he raped her. If they just had sex, he doesn't get punished. But
you're wrong. Sorry, Mod. He does.
No.
They don't have to prove. That's Saudi Arabia.
They have severe punishment for infidelity.
Yeah, infidelity. But
rape is infidelity.
No, but the point is if you engage in infidelity, that's both parties. It's not one party, it's both parties.
But in Islam, you can say that you're married, whether you are or not. You can decide that you're married.
Yeah, but
that's Islam. But like I said, you can't put personal feelings into order.
I can't think of like a positive order. I can't think of a positive law outside of not harming another human being. I honestly can't.
Yeah, and that's my position. That's my position.
Quit smoking. Let's give an order to the entire world to quit smoking.
No.
That's not.
You cannot
That's imposing. That's like smoking is no work. Okay, then more people die in the United States from medical mistakes. So should we order doctors to not exist?
No, we're doing the positive thing. If people quit smoking, they will live longer.
That's not a positive thing. You're being an authoritarian.
And I'm going
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go fucking smoke, ladies and gentlemen. I'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Yes.
I'm going to agree on this one, because the difference between authoritarianism for a positive thing or a negative thing is merely a nuance. It's a point of
semantics, isn't it?
So if it is okay in some cases and not okay in other cases, that doesn't make sense, because then it's based on who thinks. I, as I said earlier, think that authoritarianism, totalitarianism, is always the one thing you want to try and prevent. Now, you can't prevent it 100%, fair enough, but when you cannot prevent it, you must at least recognize that it's a negative thing. Because if you do not, that's the slippery slope. If you do not recognize that it's a negative thing, then the next step will also not be recognized as a negative thing. And then you come into the death of 1,000 cuts scenario.
And then you just get screwed down the line. But the point is, even if you build a free society where everybody's free to do whatever they want to, someone has to give orders. That society will just cease to exist. They will die out, no matter what.
Well,
no, I mean, laws, the government should be for the protection of the individual, because in society, individuals interact a lot.
Yes, but
interact a lot. The goal is to protect the person from being done to. So you can do what you like to the extent it does not infringe on somebody else. And there's loads of grey areas. It's not simple. However, that should be the abiding principle. But if you go off into a room on your own and you want to smoke a cigarette, fine, smoke a cigarette, because at the end of the day, you're doing something to yourself. And me, I would never stop that, because why?
But that's what I'm saying. You can't just let people run amok.
Yeah, but they're not running amok. The point is when you stop people is when they start to infringe on somebody else.
And that's the problem. This is, for example, what we see. If we look at the whole victim ideology that's going on right now, it is a form of authoritarianism. I feel that you offended me, therefore I have the right to make your life miserable.
But worse, punish you for things you haven't done, haven't thought, but I merely claim you have.
So all forms of authoritarianism in itself are negative. Does that mean that you can live without any form of authoritarianism? Well, that's going to be very difficult too, but at least recognize that it's not good for you. It's the same with smoking. Smoking is bad for your health. Should everyone be disallowed to smoke? No, but they should at least know that it's bad for your health.
Yes,
and then
it gives you an option to choose.
Yeah,
that's the difference when you have an option.
At the point of time when the government says, okay, but you're no longer allowed to smoke here, there, and everywhere, what choice do you have?
Oh, no, but to be fair, you see, the reason they introduced the laws they did in the United Kingdom isn't about you having the right to smoke. It's about the right of somebody else not to breathe in your exhaled smoke.
Hey, I say they can go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the law. It isn't saying you can't smoke. The law's saying you have no right, especially in a workplace, to smoke against somebody who doesn't wish it, because you've got multiple people, and therefore
there are places that I agree with, but here's the funny thing. How about a pub? Yeah. You own the pub. Are you allowed to smoke in your pub?
You should be able, but you can't.
It's a workplace, and if you have employees...
No, that's not what he said. He said, you own the pub. I own it. It's my pub.
No,
I smoke in my own damn pub?
No, but here's the point. It's a workplace, and if you have employees, have you the right to inflict on your employees something they don't want.
All right, let's make it easy, John. I own the pub. There's no employees. I'm the only guy that works there. I own it and I work there. Can I smoke?
And that's the problem. That's what we're seeing now, both in the UK and in the Netherlands.
In the UK, the law was simple. It's about being an employee.
Yeah. Well, in the Netherlands, all pubs either have a smoking room, or you're not allowed to smoke in the pub.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
If it's the guy running it and his wife, for whatever reason, they both smoke, and they have to go outside to smoke because they're not allowed to smoke inside in their own pub.
Yep, same thing here in the United States. You can't smoke inside bars or restaurants. Even if you're the single owner and you're the single employee, you still can't smoke inside your own bar or pub. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's some of the laws are ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous. The problem is that you have laws that have to apply across a whole country of millions of people, and you're saying in a very odd occasion, because it is odd, that you would have a pub that was owned and had no employees. That is so unusual, because no bar I've ever been to has ever been staffed by one person.
Okay, I got a better one for you, John. How about a law that prevents you, that prohibits you, not even prohibits you of smoking in your own car?
Yeah, we have that too, because of the children.
No, you can't smoke in your car, no matter how many people are in it.
No, but there are laws about that.
No, there are laws not to smoke in cars while there's children in it because of the health of the children.
Yeah.
If you're the only idiot in the car, you still can't smoke in it. The law is you can't smoke inside the car.
Well, does that law exist?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, it's been running for about 7 or 8 years now. It's in California. You can't smoke in your own car.
Okay. So
is that okay?
Is it authoritarian?
I would not favor such a law.
John, authoritarian?
Yeah, it is.
The problem is there's always grey areas and there's always boundaries between.
This is not a grey area.
I'm not talking.
It's telling a person they can't do something that
I would not be in favour of such a law. It's quite simple. If you are doing something to yourself with no one else affected, that the government has no right to intervene, is my view.
But that's the problem with the authoritarian. You don't have a view.
And that's the problem, yes. But at the same time, this is true for both of it.
Guys, did you hear about, I don't know where it was, but the default of donating your organs when you die as a default, as an opt-in rather, opt-out?
That's an interesting question to do with psychology.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something in the Netherlands. They want to do that too. I mean,
they did it in Denmark.
What country? Which country started?
Denmark.
Yeah.
Probably here.
No, Denmark. It's a renowned case study in psychology because they compared Denmark to Norway. Denmark had opt-out and Norway had opt-in. And they noted that the number of organ donors in Denmark was like 90% and the number of donors in Norway was like 10%. And it is purely to do with the psychology of answering the darned question on the form.
Yeah, because most people simply don't care. They don't want to think about it. And because they don't want to think about it, they don't answer.
Yeah. Whereas if they are opted in, the majority
will remain that way.
Are quite happy. So, I don't actually have an objection. Yet, when they are forced to actually make a conscious choice to opt in, they don't.
Yeah, because you don't want to think about your own death.
Well, I mean, the point is it's complicated, but the fact is that they've done studies in psychology and they have worked out that, and this is just one question, and you say it's because of that, but in general, questions that are opt-in are answered massively disproportional from the exact same question as an opt-out. And it doesn't really matter what the subject is.
I don't know. I got the same question when I went to get my driver's license, and I asked the lady if I was reading it correctly, and she said yes, you have the option of donating your organs in case when you die. I'm going to say no, not because I'm not afraid of my death. That's a different thing. It's just when I die, nobody's going to want these organs.
That's something else, mate. That is the truth, though. I mean, we see this thing in the Netherlands as well, because here they're also going for an opt-out system instead of an opt-in system, because they hope that this way they can get more organs. Because
of course, but opt-out means the state owns you.
No, that's not what it means.
What does it mean then?
It means that you can choose that you want to keep your body intact after you're dead, or you.
But the default is that the fucking state owns you.
No, it's not the state. The state is not in this game. That's the thing. It goes.
So who owns it?
You.
You.
It's your damn body.
Once you're dead, who cares?
No, opt-out means if you. Sorry, opt-out means if you do not opt out, somebody else gets your body, right?
No, not your body, organs. Not all of it.
Organs, okay, whatever.
No, nobody's going to want anybody's skin, so.
Okay, whatever.
Serial killer.
Whatever. Just like parts of your body, whatever. Like, take
but only if that part of your body is at that point in time needed to save someone else.
Whatever.
Super sorry, people.
It's just it views parts of your body or your whole body as a resource, right?
Yeah, but after you're dead, what does it matter?
Oh no! Are we talking about donor now?
Well, we're talking about the psychology
opt out, Licia, which means that by default somebody else gets to decide what's to do with you.
Oh no, because you still have full choice.
No, you should see what they've been doing with donor. I'm gonna have to go with, and maybe it's just in America.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you look at what they've done with donors, with, for example, babies, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
But
what? Tell us.
I'm lost there.
No, I don't believe in giving away my organs just because if it's unsustainable, and then it'll create a situation where they'll start growing organs, and I don't know. It seems bad.
The main thing is, and that's where research is going for a very long time, is that they are trying to that they are able to grow organs. So if you need a new kidney, they will take stem cells from your body and grow you a kidney with your stem cell. That would be the best, but we're not there yet. So for the time being, if you die and your body has a makeup that is compatible with the makeup of someone else, they can use your kidney after you died to give that person a kidney.
Right.
This is not about.
I think it's the length of life, don't you? I mean, what'll happen if our lives become where we're living to be 200, 300 years old? Talk about population control.
Yeah, but
talk about suicide. Nobody will want to live that long.
Well, if you can get a new kidney and a new liver and a
no, because kidney failure is not something that happens because of old age. If kidney failure happens because of old age, other organs are going to go away because of old age as well. And if you put a young kidney in a body where the kidney is dying of old age, you won't give that. You don't give that person a lot of extra life. That's not how it works, because the whole body is old.
Yeah, once it gets old, it's old. There's no much fixing about that. So
you can put all new organs in it, and somehow it will still be old. For example, even the very blood you have can indicate the age of the body.
Yep. You might as well replace the body instead of an organ. Then you can live longer, but that's not viable now. And even then, people don't realize that once you pass a certain mark of age, you don't want to live longer.
There's a billionaire scientist that's working on it right now, and if you talk bad about him, you'll get your channel evacuated.
Well, it's a fool's errand. Just
so be careful. We're treading on dangerous territory now.
You don't care about YouTube, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. Besides, like I said, nobody after a certain age, nobody wants to be alive.
Yeah, I mean, as Richard Dawkins said,
they will find ways to die.
No, genes are a hive of fatal cancers because there's been no evolutionary mechanism to eliminate them, and so you get rid of everything else, and they'll just become more and more and more.
Again,
but the thing is, when it comes to organs, and organ donors are only organ donors to help people who need organs, and on average, we're talking about people. The people that need organs are people between the age of 10 to 45. On average, if you're a lot older than 45, they don't often really care anymore. It still happens depending on the organ, but far less. But what they are now trying to reach, or they are,
what?
Doesn't say. They've been researching it for a long time. Is trying to take away stem cells and then grow your very own organ again, because your stem cells can grow any organ. So that's what. So that's what they've been researching for the last. They haven't been successful yet. But
they have, but they're not in the United States, so it's not knowledge to the world yet.
No, they've been able to do some stuff, but not well enough.
Full-grown organs.
Yeah, but the way they work,
in the body, there has been grown a pair of lungs, a liver, and a kidney. And they've been transplanted already into 3 people that theirs failed, and they're still living off those things. The lungs guy, I think, is 3 years. The lady with the kidney has been 2, and the one with the liver, I think, is reaching about 14 months right now.
Okay, I haven't read that one yet. Okay,
yeah, and you're not going to. It's not public.
Well, okay, I'll look into it then. Let's see what I can find. But
that's fail. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're going to quit anyway because it's nearly 2 a.m. But it's a bit later than we normally get on to. Sinvaris, I'm sorry I didn't respond much to your chat. I'm glad that John picked up on that one. I really do like to have a talk with you about the subject, and we will someday soonish, I hope. But I really do enjoy. We don't always see eye to eye, but the things we do agree on are still there. I'd like to thank everyone. Anyone want to say anything to plug themselves before I'm going to say quits?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I think my last video was pretty good. Everybody should go check it out.
They're all very good. Come on.
I've been watching some of yours, so I'm not sure if I caught your last one.
Yeah, it's the last one I watched, but I do like. Like what you produce. You produce a lot of better. Your video editing skills are far higher than mine. That's for sure.
Alicia, earlier tonight, Modwain was asking about doing one on open borders, and I volunteered you as someone who might be interested in it.
In open borders?
Yeah, discussing the merits.
Discussing open borders. Oh, yeah, because of the negative utilitarianism. We should definitely talk about that. That shit fucked my world up.
So next week?
Definitely. Sounds like a plan.
You could probably start it with what is negative utilitarianism.
Yeah, I will. I wrote an entire book on it because I was studying George Soros and my eyes were opened. I had a total breakdown. I think I told John about it, my breakdown. I was like, oh my God, everything I believe in is wrong.
That's why John said you want toxic if we're going to talk about open borders. So next week, talk about open borders?
Yes.
Sounds like a plan.
Do it, Nike.
Well, I'm going to give the last word to Toxic on that one. I didn't hear her, so.
Oh, no, I said, yeah, I'm in.
Okay, good. That's the topic for next week. Subscribe to any of these people down that we're talking here. I didn't link them, but click on their names in the chat thingy on the side and you can see that channel. And Okay, this was a very messy one, but hey, you know what? Sometimes that's how it goes. I really hope you guys enjoyed yourself, and I hope to see you all next time. And this is where I press the button to stop the